QoS naming and composition. So, naming QoS libraries and profiles. When you define a QoS library and profile, you always have to provide a name. Here are some examples. We have QoS libraries named testing profiles, simulation profiles, and deployment profiles. And then QoS profiles within libraries also have to have their own names. QoS Profile Inheritance. When you define a QoS profile, you will start out with the documented default values for all the QoS policies. However, using QoS Profile Inheritance, you can start with the values defined by a different QoS profile. Basically, you're using that QoS profile as your base profile. To do this, use the base name attribute. So you use the base name attribute to inherit a QoS profile from another QoS profile. As an example, we have a QoS profile called strict reliable. It provides a strict reliable connection. Now let's say we want to add batching. We want the data writer to be able to send data in batches and yet be strict reliable. We could have just copied and pasted the contents of the strict reliable QoS policy or profile into the batch strict reliable QoS profile, but that's not a good idea. Copying and pasting is never a good idea. So instead what we'll do is we will derive the batch strict reliable QoS profile from the strict reliable QoS profile by using the base name. And then inside the batch strict reliable profile, we will just modify the data writer QoS to enable batching. So fundamentally, inherited profiles will begin with the base profile's QoS settings as its default value. QoS inheritance is not the only way to define a QoS profile from other QoS profiles. There's also QoS Profile Composition. This is provided because multiple inheritance is not supported. When you use inheritance, you can only use one QoS profile as the base profile that you're inheriting from. And this is because it's hard to define what it means to have multiple inheritance when you have the same QoS defined in multiple base profiles. Which QoS profile do you use? A better design is using profile composition, and this is done by using what is known as profile snippets. Profile snippets are not complete QoS profiles in and of themselves. What you see is what you get. It's as if you're going to use a snippet, you're copying the content of that snippet, the snippet is defined as, directly into your profile. And then when you're using that snippet in your QoS profile, you're just changing the base value that the profile starts with the snippet content. So snippets in a QoS profile should not configure the same QoS policy. That's best practice. However, if for some reason two snippets or more define the same QoS policy, the last value that's set by a snippet is used. So snippets are applied in the order that they're listed. And the syntax is as shown. I have a profile here called compose profile, and then the tag base name, okay, tells us that we're going to add some snippets. We're going to use some snippets to define this profile. And then each element should be referring to a snippet. So each element is the name of a snippet, and the elements will be applied in the order that they're seen in the file. Let's talk more about QoS snippets. The syntax to define a QoS snippet in XML is exactly the same syntax of a QoS profile. It even uses the same tag. So the tag for a snippet is also QoS profile, which is unfortunate, but it's due to a limitation of the XSD or the XML schema at this time. This may change later on. But however, right now, a QoS profile will define both a full profile as well as a snippet. It's really how the QoS profile is used. If it's used via inheritance, okay, then it will be the full profile. It will be a real QoS profile. But if it's used as a snippet, then all we're doing is taking the text of the profile of the snippet and not using like the whole value of a QoS profile that would have been defined. The best practice, what we suggest is, if you are going to create snippets that are meant to be used as snippets, then the best practice is to name, when you're creating the profile name, make sure you name the snippets different than full QoS profiles. So, for example, add the text snippet at the end of every QoS profile that is supposed to be a snippet. Connext TDS allows you to inherit or compose a QoS profile defined in one library from QoS profiles or snippets defined in another library. As an example, here I have two libraries, QoS libraries. One is called Common Profiles, the other one's called Common Snippets. In the Common Profiles library, I have a QoS profile named Strict Reliable. In the Common Snippets library, I have a snippet called Strict Reliable Snippet. Now, I can define another library, System1 libraries. In that library, I want to create a QoS profile called Fast Reliable. And the Fast Reliable QoS profile, I want to inherit from the Strict Reliable QoS profile that's defined in the Common Profiles library. To do so, I can use the syntax library : profile as the base name. So I'll use Common Profiles : Strict Reliable as a base name, and this allows me to inherit from a library defined from QoS profile defined in another library. Similarly, I could have a different library, let's say System2 profiles, and in there I also want to define a fast, reliable QoS profile, but instead of inheritance, I want to use composition. And this will use the same syntax structure for constructing the name of the profile that I want to compose, or in this specific case, the profile is being used as a snippet, so it'll be a snippet that I want to use as in my composition. So then the value of the element will have library : snippet name. So I'll use Common Snippets : Strict Reliable Snippet to use the snippet that's defined in the Common Snippets library in composition to compose my new QoS profile. In summary, QoS profiles can be composed from QoS snippets. It could also inherit from other QoS profiles, although only single inheritance is allowed. Fundamentally, composition and inheritance gets you away from the poor practice of copying and pasting. Okay, a lot of times you have some QoS setting that you like, or QoS profile that you like, but you want to make some change, some minor change. So instead of copying and pasting that value, the QoS value set by that QoS profile, what you should do is either inherit from it or use it in composition.